Welcome, dear listeners, to the Speak and Flow podcast, where we dive into unique strategies to help you and your team unlock the power of their voice, achieve maximum potential and flow. Today, I have a master entrepreneur, fabulous communicator, Ernie Bray. He has been an entrepreneur and owner of AutoClaims Direct for over 22 years. He's going to share with us the secrets to pitching your company and having better presentation skills. Welcome, Ernie.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
I'm so glad. This is exciting. I love your passion. And so can you share with the audience what you are passionate about when it comes to AutoClaims Direct?
All right. Well, I started the company 22 years ago, and we actually service the insurance industry for auto claims processing. Now, for a lot of you out there, that's boring. Hey, insurance claims. But what we did is started a company that helps use technology and service providers, connected it all to create a smooth, streamlined technology solution for insurance companies. So we do that. So it's not something exciting for people, but I get passionate about business itself and the things behind it. But it's been over for 22 years. We've been building it to a very successful company.
I mean, your energy and your passion exudes from out of you, and I so really appreciate that.
Well,
And
thanks.
so tell me, what was your journey like too? Because now you have a podcast. What was your journey like with regard to sharing what you do in communication and passion?
Well, talking about speaking of flow, you're about all communications. I know that. And I think for the audience out there, I'll kind of take you on a quick journey of the communication aspect. See, I was a basketball player when I grew up, and I was playing in front of thousands of people and crowds, and I used to get nervous doing that, but I could play the game. I played the sport, and I really wouldn't get that nervous after a while. But when I got in front of people, even in school, I remember in high school when I was speaking in front of a civics class, we had to get up and give a short speech about the government or something related to that. And I remember freezing up. Literally, I started my presentation. I got up there, looking at everybody in the crowd, 30 students in a classroom. I started to speak, and then I just my voice started to, tail away. And I was like, oh no. And then I just kind of like couldn't remember what I was going to say. And then I just sort of ended up having to just go back to my desk and sit down. And at that time, it felt like a horrible failure. But I have to remember, at that time, every student in class, they're probably feeling the same way. They're looking, hey, I'm next. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. But that for me was kind of a sort of an inflection point, saying, I need to get better at speaking. But then I went off to college and then didn't really have to really learn how to speak in front of groups because I was doing a job as an adjuster, dealing with people face to face. But when I started the company, started to build, AutoClaims Direct, you have to pitch your product. You have to get in front of customers. You have to be able to effectively communicate, and that's where I really started to hone my skills. And what's really funny right now is my son is taking an English class right now, and he has to do a poem, reciting poems in front of the class, and I can tell he's nervous about that. And I'm telling him, this is so important in life, so important because if you can hone those skills now, that will make you a better, effective communicator when you're going out and trying to get a job. And so it's fun to sort of see him. I'm giving some advice on how to practice. So going back to what I was saying,
What are you giving him? I'm curious.
well,
Yeah.
I'm telling him to set up every kid has a cell phone. Set up your cell phone, record yourself, record yourself talking and trying to practice what you're going to do, and have an open mind. See the mistakes you make, try it again, because a lot of times the biggest challenge is being filmed, being in front of people. And so if you can take away some of that fear at that level, you can break through it. So I think I'm a big believer in practice. You have to practice. And it's nothing to be ashamed about. Nobody's going to be unless you're just naturally great at it, is going to go out and be able to speak in front of people. You have to practice those skills. So when we got our company going, and I had to learn how to really pitch in front of people, what I did is I started to take our pitch and our main core focus and actually practice with the camera set up. I would even start to do videos at a time before people really were publishing a lot of videos out there. And I was using it sort of as a marketing tool. So I would, take time filming over and over and over till I got it just right. And then we would put those videos out there, which is kind of made a name for ourselves.
Not, did you remember what it was like to watch your videos when you
Yeah,
started doing it?
it was horrible. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I was saying things. Because I think in general, a lot of us are hypercritical of the
Hmm.
way we communicate, overly so.
Right. What did you think to yourself? What part of you did not like? You're a good looking guy. You know what? Like, what was your criticism in your mind?
Um, well, I have a tendency to speak fast. Now,
So that was it.
yeah, I speak too fast and I can get going pretty quickly. But one of the things I'll tell you this right now is that if you bring energy and enthusiasm to what you do, a lot of times the mistakes that you think you make really are overlooked and they're really not that important, you
Did
know?
you always have so much energy?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just like, you just come out like, I'm here, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Because you know what? I'm a believer. If you're out there, when you're selling your product or
Yes.
service, if you're not passionate about it and you don't truly believe in it, it shows through. It shows through to the customers, the vendors, whoever you are out there. And in whatever industry you're in, if you're not really all in on this, people
Yeah.
can tell. And that's
Yeah.
really important when it comes to pitching your product.
Yeah. And you've had people pitch to you. And what was
Hmm.
that like?
Well, when people pitch to me, I try to I judge about what their enthusiasm is. If they're
Ah,
dull and
right.
they're not bringing that energy, it makes me wonder what value are they going to bring to my company, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I think it really for us, uh, when it comes to the sales and business development side, being able to really hone in on what we do as a company
Mhm.
and what we do with passion is important. So that's really something we try to instill in the business development side of our business.
How did you do that? Because
Well,
yeah, to hone in on what you do well.
Well, I think you can, any business, one of the biggest challenges out there is overcoming obscurity. There's so
Mhm.
much noise out there these
Right.
days. I mean, you have
Right.
so much competition. You have so many videos out. I mean, videos are everywhere. Everybody's on TikTok or whatever, YouTube. You have to compete with the noise. But in the business to business world or business to consumer, you got to stand out and you have to be able to effectively get the information about what your company does to that potential buyer in a way they know what you do. And one of the things I think was a challenge for us is when we have people on our team or people who are doing sales, if they're not effectively communicating the way we want to, then it hurts your bottom line. It
Hmm.
hurts your bottom line because your potential customers really don't understand what you're doing.
Hmm. Hmm. And you've had people come to you and they're not prepared. First, they're not enthusiastic. They might be afraid. They might be nervous. Oh my gosh, this is my moment. And then they lose
Hmm.
the enthusiasm. And then they're not as prepared. And then they lose the opportunity.
Yeah, and I can tell you some of the ways I've found is a lot of times salespeople or business development executives, they may come into a company, okay,
Yeah.
and they have been doing sales for 20, 30 years, and they think that they know what they're doing. And they come in, hey, you know what? I know I have relationships. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't need to practice. I don't need to do a pitch. You give them a deck, and you say, okay, this is how we pitch our product. I got the relationships. They never really sit down with the client and effectively pitch the product. Yeah, they may have a relationship or they may have that. And that's super important in business. It's very important. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times I found out over the years, I would be at a conference, for example, and I would meet somebody that would be potential clients, and they have been in contact with our team, and I would be talking, and they would say, "Wait a minute, I didn't know your company did all these different things. I thought you did only this one thing." And I'd be, "Oh no, 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 we do all this." They go, "Oh yeah, well, so and so didn't tell me about this." And I'm like, "Okay," and it got me thinking, well, we're losing out on opportunity
Yeah.
because we're not effectively getting the message out.
Right. Right. So how do you help your team prepare then?
Well, I'm a big believer that as a business owner, you have to be the best salesperson in your company. Now that
Mhm.
doesn't mean you're going to be out there necessarily doing all the pitches, but you have to be able to have that energy and passion, like I said, and also be able to effectively be the champion of what you're doing. And so I like to get with my team and we have a great presentation, But then we practice, we role play, and you talk about what are some of the objections, what are some of the things a client may say, and
Mhm.
the better you prepare, and the more you practice, and you get that consistent message, that's what's going to make you successful. Because every salesperson is going to have their own style. There's nothing wrong with that,
Right,
but you work within their style to help them master the message.
right, right. How many salespeople do you have?
We have two right now.
Okay, and then how and do they like to do it? Are they
Yeah.
bored?
Yep.
They enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think they feed off of my passion on this too.
Okay,
And I'm very involved in the sales process, where we're always doing check-ins monthly. Well, we have weekly meetings, but we're always all connecting to make sure that we're all on the same page.
right,
Being effective.
right, right. Especially with so much going on, there's a lot of changes. So it's yeah, being on the same page with the
Hmm.
cohesive message and
Yep.
pitch.
Yeah, definitely.
And because like, you're evolving too, your company's evolving,
Yeah.
new demands.
The one thing I can always say is you always have to remember that what may have worked,
Right.
a year ago, 3 years ago may not be the same way that works now. So you have to always be adaptable as well. You have to be adaptable and always try to keep learning from other people out there, because you never know it all.
Yeah. And so how do you keep your teams aligned? Like in addition to beside just the meetings, are there other ways?
Well, we manage everything through a CRM tool of what's going on. So we're always putting in our content. One of the things I think is important that we do with our teams is we involve them in the process of building content for our company. We
Oh,
have them shoot videos. And one of the things beyond
good.
just pitching the product, face to face, we have them shooting videos that we put out on YouTube, we put out on Instagram, we put out to our customers. And
Right.
so they're able to hone their skills in
Right.
putting individual videos out themselves.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, because then they take ownership, that they're able to speak about
Yeah.
it and then put it on, yeah, and then they can post whenever they have the moment to.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and I also, one thing we do in our company is we involve our employees. Now, we don't say you have to do this, but we actually tell our staff, hey, if any of you want to shoot a video and you want to get out there and talk about your job and how you help customers, volunteer. And we have people that volunteer, and we help guide them through the communication process, and we practice and role play, so they get to actually maybe do a 45-second to a minute video talking about how they help customers. So it really helps get the employees in the company involved in the
Right.
communication process, because you can have a sales team doing it all day long, but who are the people in your business that are on the front lines that are actually the face of the company?
Right, right, exactly. And there's so much opportunity for them to talk to other people, just their friends, their family, their
Well,
community.
you know what? You're right. And when our employees talk and they
Mm.
get out there and they do these videos, it's so funny that the people they deal with on a day-to-day basis often say, "Hey, I saw your video," and I think
Right,
it creates a better bond with your customers, because the people who are working on a day-to-day basis are actually connecting on that aspect.
right, right. I love it. I love it. I mean, I love how you're using communication, pitching as a strategy for your company
Hmm.
everywhere from, like you mentioned, having the passion like you do, right? You're modeling
Yeah,
the way with the passion and
yeah,
leading with that. And then therefore helping your teams also be prepared. I
yeah,
heard that, like being prepared, knowing your audience, knowing who you're talking to, having the right information before speaking, and then finally practicing. And then
yeah,
allowing your whole team, not just the salespeople, to practice, shoot videos, do the pitching, go do presentations, meet with people, and then building the whole ecosystem around
hmm,
your company and the way you pitch your company. Not just
exactly.
you, right? Yes, you're going to be the best salesperson, but you want to have your whole team and your
Yep.
whole company in
Yeah.
alignment. I
Yeah,
love
I totally. And I think as a leader of a company, um, you can, some people may just say, I'm going to delegate that out to a sales team and I just want to step away. But I mean, sure, some people may be successful in that, but like I said, I'm the believer that you have to be, roll up your sleeves and get involved yourself as a leader, because people will take the leadership is where it starts. And if people
yeah,
feel inspired from the top,
yeah,
that's important.
yeah. Especially because like the company's moving, it's evolving, it's changing, and so you got to
Yeah.
continually. You want them to continually evolve with you,
Right. And it's
and the
lifting every employee up too to be part of the sales, because people have to remember everybody in some aspect is a salesperson in a advocate for the company. Everybody has every interaction with a customer is a great chance to communicate. And the
Sure.
better you can improve those communication skills, it all elevates the company.
Yeah, love that. And Ernie, can I ask you the last question I ask
Sure.
all my guests? What is that one leadership golden takeaway that you want the audience to remember?
And okay, well, it's really so simple. It kind of goes back to what I've said before, is as a leader, you have to be able to remember you don't know it all. And I say this to any salesperson, any employee. You can say, oh, I think I'm great at this. You can always learn something, even some little nugget, something that you can do to make yourself a better speaker, better communicator. And I'll tell you this, my takeaway is this: if you want to excel in the business world these days, you got to be a great communicator. You got to work on those skills. That's so important, very important if you want to be successful. So.
Love it. And you obviously you're a great communicator. I love your passion and enthusiasm. Thank you so much for sharing that with our audience today, Ernie.
Well, thanks. It's been great being on.
It was really great. Thank you so much. And thank you, audience, for being on board and listening. And until next time I see you, remember, anytime you have a chance to communicate, you have a chance to connect and also make an impact. Much love. See you next time. Take care. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.